Been forever.
Good evening and welcome to the November 12th meeting of the Beavercreek Parks, Recreation, and Culture Board. We'll start with a call to order, please. Or that is a call to order. We'll start with a roll call, please.
Mr. Corbett,
Here.
Mrs. Fulcher,
Here.
Mr. Tips, and Mrs. Meyer and Mrs. Heaton are not with us this evening.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. We'll start with the approval of the agenda, which you have in front of you, and I will accept the motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That's a lot easier with three people, isn't it? You also have in front of you the minutes from the October 8th meeting, and if you've had a minute to look at those or want to take a minute to look at those, I will accept a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor of the minutes, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. And then that moves us into the division report. I believe Aaron's going to bring that to us tonight.
Good evening. For our November benefit, it's that studies have shown that visits to parks reduce stress, lower your blood pressure, and improve your overall health. And this photo is not from today. It's actually from wintertime last year over at Wartinger Park, but I thought it was fitting for the snow that we received last night and into today. This month's report is going to be a little bit different. We're going to feature the accomplishments of the various parts of our division over 2019, and then we'll be excited to present to you come 2020 the goals for 2020. So these one of the goals for 2019 was that we cover our event costs. The goal was for 90%. We got very close, and we covered our community event costs at 85% or greater, and this is on an individual basis, so most of these were covered in full. You'll see that Movie in the Park was only 43% funded. However, we make a profit on the Golf Scramble, so as a fundraiser every year, that covers that. So that's kind of, that Movie in the Park is where we didn't quite meet our goal there. Over at CI Beaver Hall, we're always trying to better market and let the community know about CI Beaver Hall and that it is available for rentals for any sort of community functions that groups might have, or private events, private parties, retirement parties, graduation parties, holiday gatherings, all that kind of thing. So we did get a new marketing brochure this year with updated photos and information and pricing. And then by the end of the year, we're hoping to get some new chairs. You can see the chairs in the old picture there are getting a little dated in their style, and the upholstery is at a spot where doesn't matter how many times we steam clean it, it doesn't quite clean up like it used to. So we're hoping that'll help with new chairs and some new paint, help modernize the space and make it more appealing for some more rentals. In 2019, our summer camp registrations were filled at traditional camp. Were filled all summer long with an additional week added. In the past, we had 8 weeks. This week, we had 9, and we had no problem filling that. We had an average of 51 campers a week for a total of 457 registrations. And then our specialty day camps are still taking a little while to pick up, but we did run 5 of 7 of our planned weeks of camp for a total of 73 campers throughout those 5 weeks. Including the senior center, we had a couple of things that kind of were in both our general recreation and our senior center categories. We implemented new registration softwares called MyRec for our registration and recreation management. So that includes signing up for classes, signing up for memberships, reserving a facility or a park shelter, and your daily check-ins, which we utilize over at the senior center. And then also, we started a new transportation software over at the Senior Center called EcoLane, and that manages all of our riders, our trips, the vans. It has tablets with each van that the drivers and escorts use, and really increases efficiency, and it figures out how long it's going to take to get, from point A to point B, and schedules everyone on the appropriate van, whether they need a wheelchair access or those types of things. So big year for software in our division. Also looking at both Recreation and Senior Center, we were able to hire Shauna Tibbs Sargent, who you met, I think, last month or maybe a couple months ago now, who's taken on our paid instructors and our different classes that we have at both the Senior Center and Lafino Plaza and CI Beaver Hall and throughout the parks. And so one of her first tasks was actually finding replacements for the classes that she used to teach for us as a contracted instructor. And so she has found replacements for her classes, which included the Tai Chi at the Senior Center, Zumba, and a variety of kids classes, as well as a boot camp class. We've got a brand new Senior Center yoga instructor, which was not one of her classes, but new instructor came to us ready to take on that program, and then also used one of our current instructors who wanted to expand her programming and started a new chair yoga class. That was our first ever time to try and do a class that was for the general public, but also open to Senior Center members at a discounted rate. So we're excited about those. Moving on into just Senior Center side of things, some accomplishments. You all, when I report the annual report each year, see some of our increasing numbers year after year of Senior Center memberships and increased transportation and increased activity participation. And this year, I believe, will be no different when we get all those final numbers tallied. As of the other day, our 2019 memberships were at 1,525. And that number just seems like it's always increasing. Last year, at the end of 2018, we were at 1,378 memberships. So that place just keeps on getting busier. And then we also are lucky to have the support of our local Greene County Council on Aging. And we received a couple of grants in 2019. One of them is for a new van. I'm calling it mid-size. If you're thinking about your personal vehicles at home, it would be bigger than your personal vehicles. This would be kind of in between a normal minivan size and then our bigger vans that you've seen on the road that are like a 14-passenger. This is in between there. We wanted something that wasn't so big, but that was also wheelchair accessible, so that we could take a few passengers plus maybe somebody in a wheelchair. And if we have to take a longer trip, we're not using so much gas or driving such a big vehicle down the freeway to a hospital in a nearby community. We don't have the van yet. We do have the money. The van will arrive. They are making the van right now. They don't just keep these things on the lot like they do with the cars you might buy for yourself. And then we also got a grant that we often apply for each year for these smaller grants that they have, and that's going to get us a new, larger TV for our great room. We've got an outdated, aging, and often troublesome projection system in the great room, so we're going to get a new big TV to replace that. That's the end of my accomplishments section of tonight's report, and I'll go on into some of our numbers and upcoming events and all those kinds of things. So you'll see in October we've had great attendance. Oh, my apologies. It doesn't look like I put the actual attendance number on there for the total attendance. I believe it was 5,000 something, but I can get you that number. But our fitness room is ever popular. We've got over 2,200 volunteer hours in October, and I always think these estimates are actually pretty low. A lot of our volunteers like to not sign in on the volunteer sign-in sheet or not log all of their hours that they really are working there. But we did start 2 new front desk volunteers this month, so we're excited to have them on board. That's probably one of the busiest areas you can volunteer at the senior center, is that front desk. And then also our transportation miles, a whole bunch of miles and trips taken in October. Moving into other things that happened in October at the Senior Center, I wanted to give a shout out to our garden group. They cleaned up the front flower beds and got everything ready for, well, fall, but now winter. Everything cleaned up around there, so there's a few photos of them working. They are just a great group. They take care of those landscaping beds that are just to the right side of the entrance if you're walking in the main doors of the Senior Center. So we're thankful for that. A couple of big things that happened in October. We had Lee Dutiel's retirement celebration, and there's a photo of him giving a big old hug to one of our longtime volunteers, Joe Ferguson. I joked with Joe, I said, how does it feel that Lee is retiring from the Senior Center before you? She works her tail off as a volunteer over at the Senior Center, and we're happy to have her. And those two will miss working together every day. And then our Halloween party, wanted to thank our sponsors, who are Heartland and the Preserve of Beavercreek. They provided the food, also the prizes for our costume contest, and representatives from there were our judges for the Halloween costume contest. And we are thankful for that. None of the staff wants to be a judge for the costume contest. It is a tough job, yes. I put a photo there of one of my favorite couples that did the costume contest. They are Sunny and Cher, but the husband is Cher and the wife is Sunny. Creative spin on that. All right. In October, we also took our Snooty Fox Tour. We had 46 people attend. There was a max of 56, so we still had some spots. And Buckeye Home Healthcare and Heartland of Beavercreek were our sponsors for that. So the sponsors, the representatives that they sent, really had a fun day at work that day, because they got to go on the Snooty Fox trip, and they provided goodie bags and snacks and refreshments for the bus and at the stops. I believe they visited 4 Snooty Fox locations. If you're not familiar with those, there's upscale consignment shops. They're all south of town. And they took that big bus. You can see it was a beautiful day. And it was all ladies. The ladies who attended that day, they're gone the whole day. I believe they left at 8:45, did not get back until about 5 o'clock. They made our staff and Chrissy at the Senior Center promise that we would go on the Snooty Fox trip twice next year. So she's already got those scheduled for next year.
I see a lot of full bags.
Yeah, they, the charter buses have storage underneath the seats, and they were taking furniture and bags outside of the of the bus. They couldn't fit it in their seats with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They got I saw some fur coats coming off. Very nice things. They had a blast. Some upcoming programs and events. We've got a really neat program that's this week. So call right now, well, tomorrow when they open, to sign up for the Senior Center if you're watching live. But this is a Continue to Drive class. And so most people are outliving their driving years by 10 years or more. So this is a class that teaches you about exercises you can do to keep yourself in great shape to continue driving. Things like range of motion, reaction time, and your driving mobility will all be covered. And it's a free program. And Spring Hills Home Care, they are sending their exercise physiologists to come and teach that class. So we're excited about that. We've got this Friday a fundraiser for the Senior Center. This is a beans and cornbread supper, great to warm you up with the cold winter weather we've received. It's $10 per person and open to the public, so come on after work on Friday and enjoy some warm food. Bring your family on out to the Senior Center. And of course, we'll have a Thanksgiving lunch. And this is on Tuesday, November 19th. I'm sure this will sell out, so make sure you get a ticket soon. And we've got a whole list of sponsors, and the sponsors at Thanksgiving are especially crucial because they don't just give us money, they actually bring the food to us, which makes it a lot easier in terms of our kitchen ladies' preparation that they need to do. So we've got a number of sponsors all listed up on the screen. We're so thankful for them. Moving on into our recreation side of things, I wanted to review a few of the past programs. Our beginner archery clinics were held on October 19th, and they were sold out. We had a maximum of 12 per session, so we had 24 people total attend. We had a morning session and an afternoon session. We had some volunteers as well as myself come out there and teach archery out at Virgilito Park. And we are excited to explore some options for some indoor archery programming, potentially this winter still, now that we have our own equipment. Just this past weekend, there was a Thanksgiving meal for families who've been affected by the Memorial Day tornadoes, held at CI Beaver Hall. The city, in coordination with the Parks and Rec Department, we were happy to be a sponsor of that. We held it over at the hall and donated the space for this event, as well as we did the kids craft for the families who had little children with them. And this group that put it on is called HEART, which stands for Helping Everyone Affected Recover from Trauma. And we've been playing a role in that along with many community partners, community volunteers, the library, the public health, mental health recovery board, all sorts of people. There's a whole long list of people involved. So we were happy to do that. And then I also wanted to mention, if you didn't know, that Lafino Plaza was a polling place for the past election day. And not only does this mean more people are coming into Lafino Plaza to see what we've got to offer there in that facility space, but it also means people come into the senior center, since they're connected spaces, and it's a very busy day. This is the second time we've been a polling place, so they actually called extra volunteers in to give additional tours and new members. They were keeping a count, and I think they lost count somewhere around, we'd given at least 15 tours, which is probably 14 more than a normal day. And we had at least 6 new members on that day, not including any additional members that we gave, membership forms to, who took them home to review. Goodness, that was just yesterday. We had our Veterans Day ceremony out at Veterans Memorial Park. I want to say thank you to Colonel Smeltzer, who was our featured guest speaker. And then also thank you to the Air Force Band of Flight, their group, the Spirit of Freedom, provided the music. You see a photo there of some of the gentlemen who came to help with the ceremony from the VFW, also the American Legion, and the Civil Air Patrol. We're all involved, and there's probably others that I'm forgetting, but thank you to everyone involved with that ceremony. We got it in like just before precipitation started happening. So it was chilly and cold, and we were ready with tents and all of that, but got out of there just in time before the rain and snow came. Upcoming events, I've mentioned this before, coming up on December 21st at Wortinger Park is our Winter Welcome at Wortinger Park in collaboration with the Greene County Public Library. We are excited about this, so mark your calendars. You'll see emails from me if you're on the park board coming soon about specifics that we need help with, specific shifts and things like that that you can sign up to help with. So we're looking forward to it. And just to give you an update, a lot of people say, well, what do you do now in Parks and Recreation? It's cold out. There's not as much going on at the parks. As you can tell, we still are quite busy with programming, but it's also time for us to plan all of that really, really hyper time that comes in spring and summer and early fall. We do need time to actually plan ahead for those things and make sure everything is arranged. And so some of the things we're working on is getting ready to do our seasonal hiring. Yes, already we're thinking about that. Planning our summer camps, planning our sports leagues, our summer concert series, and anything that's happening in 2020. Pretty much we're going to start getting things rolling for those and things set up now and in the next couple of months here. Any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay,
No, good job. Thank you, Aaron.
you're welcome.
And now Kim is going to bring us the park reports.
Good evening. All right, we're just going to tack on from the accomplishments on the park side. Aaron already covered recreation in the senior center, so I'll hand to parks. We did have pretty decent turnover in staff this past year. So Josh Kirschbaum has been one of our operator twos in the park side. I think 18 years. This past spring, we promoted him to our section leader. Our previous section leader, who Jeff Stein, we talked about last year, he basically developed this entire division. He was the first park guy. But he retired last fall, and so we were able to promote Josh into this role this past spring. And of course, as you promote people internally, it opens up a whole bunch of new positions. But we were able to promote Joel Sora to a Parks Operator 1 position. He was a seasonal, and then we promoted him to full-time. Brittany Belcher, she was a seasonal, was then part-time, and then we were able to bring her full-time as a Parks Operator 1 late summer. Shauna Tibbs, we talked about her a little bit earlier. Shauna Tibbs Sargent is our new part-time recreation coordinator, and that was a new position. And we're really excited about that one. She's already doing great stuff, and without a doubt, she'll be doing a whole lot more. Ursula Kraus-Carey is one of our new part-time park maintenance workers. And Ron Johnson, again, is another part-time parks maintenance worker, and he just started with us 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Previously, he was full-time with us on the street department side, and then worked seasonally for us this summer, and then decided to come on board and work part-time. So really excited to have all these individuals. We always look at this as hiring the best person for the position, and I think with this group, we really did a fantastic job doing that. So looking forward to good stuff coming out of them. Officially this year, we became a Tree City USA. We're one of 237 communities in Ohio. So it was a lot of work, but a lot of great things came out of it. One being the Tree Advisory Board, who started back in January. But they were doing a lot for our community, doing some service projects and looking ahead. They are also the ones, if you haven't seen, I think it's usually out on Facebook, as we're trying to put a monthly newsletter and monthly publication on how to care for trees, when to plant. So Zach Wyke in our office is helping, but the tree board is really spearheading that. So one of the really excited things this past spring was our park levy passed. Never forget about that. So we do, again, want to thank everybody. This was a continuous levy. Was our 0.9 mil with a renewal of 0.3 or an increase. So you'll see in January's report the things that we'll be doing for 2020. Aaron mentioned a couple other softwares that we were doing. Another one was a new work order software. This has been really cool. So you can fill out a work order electronically, and then it gets pushed to whoever you assign it to through, like, whether they have a tablet or a phone. So if they're already out and about, you can just kind of push the software or the work order to them. Or if you're out and about, it's like if I'm out at a park, it's like, shoot, I keep forgetting to say this needs to be done. I can just do the work order right on site, assign it, and then that way we also have good reporting system after the fact too. If I put something out there and I'm like, what is going on with that? I can look it up, and it just shows the step-by-step. So we've just started getting into that, but again, that's going to be a really cool thing to keep going with. We replaced 4 playgrounds this year. This was a really big year for playgrounds, but we replaced Stafford Park, E.J. Nutter, Seville Farm Estates, and then Merrick. So the Stafford, E.J. Nutter, and Seville, those were ones that we got with a grant, so we were able to do a lot more with what we had. We weren't planning on doing that many playgrounds. I don't know that we will ever do 4 playgrounds in 1 year, but we were able to knock it out this past year. So, and they've turned out really nice. We've completed our 10-year master plan. And again, I want to thank the community who took the time, did a survey, or came to any of the public forums that we had. It truly is a community master plan. So we're kind of reviewing that and seeing what we want to do for the next 5 years. We kind of start putting together, here's our 5-year plan as far as projects, but then also on the recreation side of, here's where we see ourselves in 5 years, and then push it out to 10 also. We did some parking lot enhancements. You'll see here, this was the overflow at Shout Park. We talk about all the great playgrounds that we put in, and then we don't realize the popularity of these playgrounds until they're open, and then everybody is flooding the area. Shout Park, we had a little issue with parking, so we have a nice overflow parking area now. So people should not be parking on the streets. You've got the older playground or older parking lot, and then now a newer one. So recently opened is an overflow parking at the senior center. The best way I can describe it, if you're staring at the senior center, it's to the right, almost kind of across the street there. There was a house there that we removed the house, leveled that out, and then there's a whole new parking lot. Next year, we have money from the Community Development Block Grant, and we'll be able to put lights on. So they've run the conduit, everything like that. So we pay 20%, and then we get 80% match from that grant. So those will be going on probably summer, early fall. We seal coated the Beavercreek Station parking lot, and also seal coated the CI Beaver Park. We'll be planting 74 trees in the parks. These actually will be going in the next few weeks. Ryan Landscaping is the one actually planting the trees for us. They've already come through, dug holes, and did a nice composite base. So kind of just, we have a nice tree planting formula in soil. So they've already prepped the area. The trees are starting to come in, and they'll come through and plant all those. A lot of these are replacements from the tornado that we had this past May, but then some of it is just from the emerald ash borer that we've had to remove some trees, and we're just trying to now replace the trees that we've been taking down over the past few years. Again, recently we installed a new roof at Beavercreek Station. We're replacing water fountains at Rotary, Beavercreek Station, and Veterans Memorial. We have new spotlights on the monument at Veterans Memorial. That's phase 2. That's the statue of the 2 soldiers. And then installed security lighting at Hunter's Ridge. We will also be going back out, it's not part of the slide, at Hunter's Ridge and Merrick. There's another one, that we're actually putting some playground edging down. So you'll start to see those over the next few weeks also. This will be nice because it'll kind of start keeping the mulch in around the playground instead of spreading out into the grass. We coordinated 7 volunteer park improvement projects. The Dayton Area Wild Ones, this was a new group that Zach is working with, and they came into Park Board and gave a presentation. They're planting all the native plantings at Beavercreek Station. The flowers are starting to pop up. Now they might be frozen over, but it was really starting to look fantastic. And again, if you're out there and you see the white flags, they're there for a reason. It's showing where the plants actually are. It helps our staff because some of the times they're not sure exactly, oh, okay, we don't want them pulling what is a native plant and they think it's a weed. So working with the Dayton Area Wild Ones has been really good, and we're looking forward to continuing that partnership. We had an Eagle Scout plant 14 trees at Spicer Heights. That was just a few weeks ago. In Eagle Scout installed a metal roof on the shelter at Lafino Park. soon here, we should be receiving a big sleigh for our winter programming, and Eagle Scout is building that. So just watch Facebook and you'll see where that sleigh is going to end up. We encourage you to go out, get your families, and take a big picture of the sleigh with your families inside. It'll be that big. And don't worry, Park Board, I'll let you know the time, the date, when we can all show up and get our pictures taken for our Christmas cards. University Baptist Church cleaned up the tornado debris from Overlook Reserve. We had a lot of downed trees and a lot of debris in the area, so it made that path impassable. So they came through and did a tremendous job on that. Centerville Washington Park District, they came out and they cleaned up Spicer Heights. Once all of that was cleaned up, then they did come back and then they replaced the mulch for us, which again was a tremendous help, especially in that area. It opened up a green space where people could go and relax, the kids could play again. So really appreciated to them. And then Be Hope Church, they mulched Shout Park Playground and then the Senior Center Park grounds. Here's just a few pictures. From left to right, you've got the, CWPD, their truck, when they helped us out. This was the early stages, that middle photo from the Dayton Arrow Wild Ones, that has grown up a whole lot more, and there's a lot out there. And then the final picture was from Overlook Reserve. Those are all our accomplishments. But just kind of as we move into our winter activities, please remember we do not plow any of the bike paths. So we do obviously keep up on the roads. We try to get to our parking lots. Park parking lots are usually one of the last things that we work on. We're usually helping the street department. But the bike paths are not plowed. So if you like cross-country skiing or anything like that, you want to pull your kids on a sled or a friend on a sled, those would be great paths to do that. We also have a memorial bench and tree program. And we always bring this up maybe around the holiday time. If you're wondering, you know what, I can get, my loved one clothes, I can get them that, get them something this. You can purchase a tree or a bench, and we'll put it in one of our parks. And then we also have our Forever Green program, which is you buy a live Christmas tree. It's got to be still in the burlap, still in the ball. But then once you're done after the holidays, we'll come pick it up and we'll plant it in one of our parks. So I think Rotary Park is the recipient of at least a dozen of those. So, but certainly contact our office, and we're happy to send you information on that. And really, it's never too soon to think about 2020. Shelter reservations open up on January 2nd. The first day our office is open. You'll be surprised that our shelters, some of those fill up right away. If you know you want a graduation party, family reunion, you know the certain day, what park, I certainly encourage you to call in. Our office opens at 8. But then also we did start, you can do shelter reservations online. If you haven't done that yet and you're interested, I encourage you to go to MyRec, our software system, sooner rather than later, get an account set up. But you certainly can call us, and we're happy to help you through that process. But this way, you can take care of it at midnight, right after dinner. You don't have to wait and call us. Except on January 2nd, you have to wait till January 2nd for the 2020 dates. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
And this may be a historical society question,
Sure.
but maybe you know the answer. Any plan for the barn at this point?
That's a great question, and you're asking the right person. So right now, we are still trying to figure out exactly what the best thing to go in that place. And we are also still working with the insurance. So that will kind of determine what's going to go there. You hate to say it comes down to money, but at some point it does. So like if they're going to just give us the full amount and say, hey, as long as you replace it with a barn, whatever you spend, here's what you're going to get, that might be the route we go. We also tossed around the idea of an open air shelter which may get used a whole lot more, but depending on what insurance will give us for money. So over the next few weeks, few months, we'll be sending something out to the different user groups and also to the community, say, hey, what will you use out there? If the best structure is a barn, we'll put a barn back up. If the best structure is a shelter, and we can coordinate the funds, it will be that. So we are going to do something. We just don't have a definitive answer on that yet.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, you mentioned that you were looking at seasonal jobs. So does
Yes.
that mean you're taking applications, or you're just looking at how many people you need for this summer?
We will be accepting applications like in late December. So we'll start taking a look through. We know we're going to want, camp counselors, camp directors. We're going to need maintenance. So we'll take a look at the numbers, but it'll be posted in December.
So then they would just go online to do those?
That's correct. Yep, and they absolutely can call our office if they have questions. Not only camp, I forgot, we have 2 interns. So a park intern that works in our office, and then the sports management that does our softball leagues and a little bit of soccer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, yep.
And then the next item on our agenda tonight is old business, and we met earlier this morning to talk about our volunteer program. And as most of our viewers know, that each year in the spring we do a program to recognize many of the partners and volunteers throughout the community that that do so much to enhance the recreational programming. And we're going to continue to talk about how we can make that program more beneficial to those groups, including the possibility of being proactive, a little more proactive in how we communicate with each of those groups. Also a place where we talk about upcoming volunteer opportunities. Do you have any more that you'd like to share at this point?
Right now, just December 21st.
Which you mentioned, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Does anyone have any new business that they would like to discuss? Nope. We also do not have any unscheduled visitors. And action items, we talked about the volunteer program again, and I know that Kim and Aaron were going to put together a list of those partner volunteer groups for us to share via email and start determining when the regular meetings are, so that we can start communicating in January. So we'll be working on that. And then I mentioned before we start board time that we will not have a formal public meeting in December, so we look forward to seeing our viewers again in January. Which leads us to board time. Sharon?
Yeah, so there were several projects that you had listed there that Eagle Scouts have done. Do you still have other projects for Eagle Scouts, or whatever the Girl Scouts called, silver and gold? Are there still more projects?
There probably will be. For this year, I think we're good.
Okay.
But anybody looking for next year, it's not too early to start planning that out. We have some ideas, but most of the things are outside. No, there's still a couple things like in Wartinger Park, I think they're called a rick. Do not quote me on that. That's the thing that holds the log piles.
Oh.
There are some things that if anybody wants to build. So yes, if there's Eagle Scouts or Girl Scouts that need that project, they can reach out, ask for Zach.
Great.
Sometimes they do like programming things too, where you haven't had that, but they could do those any time of year.
Oh, yeah, if they wanted to do a programming or event, if that was part of the project and they were cleared for that, absolutely. Yeah, we'll work with them on that.
So just contact the Parks Department directly.
Correct.
That's it.
Good. Dan? I don't know if you talked about this last week. You had mentioned in your report, Aaron, the retirement of Lee Dutil, so I just wanted to take a second to recognize Lee. I was fortunate to work with Lee a few years before he came to work here at Beavercreek, and has been a good friend, and I didn't realize until the service for him a couple of weeks ago that he had been here 18 years. I couldn't believe how long it'd been, but it was a really nice program. And you could tell there's a lot of love between the folks that are members of that facility, that program, and Lee. And I, again, want to congratulate him on his retirement. Hope he enjoys that. And that's all I have. So I will, if we're done, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.